Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be discussing the novel Oil on Water by Helon Habila. We will be analyzing the plot of the novel and also discuss in detail the chapters in the novel. The novel is a story of people live in fear and abject poverty because of a natural mineral resources which is supposed to be a blessing but ends up to bring them division, betrayal, loss of life, loss of land, and even loss of birthright, where even human right is considered as a fantasy. The novel opens with two journalists, Rufus and Zach. Zach is an older man who are on a mission to find out about the state of a white woman who is believed to have been kidnapped with the help of her driver. The driver is called Solomon. And then we saw that in the course of their journey, the two journalists experienced firsthand of the livelihood of the Niger Delta people, the uncertainty of their tomorrow, and also the poverty, the death, and the ecological destruction, the environmental pollution and degradation that befell the people in the Niger Delta oil region. Also, we saw that while on the same journey, Zach was able to find religious harmony, especially with people who are not of the same religion. So the novel explore or tell the truth the government of Nigeria doesn't want to tell the people or tell the whole world, the truth the media doesn't want to print out, or the truth that the researchers hide at the expense of people's heads, and the truth about the real stand of the militant. And in the novel, especially in chapter 19 and chapter 20, the militant were pouring out their minds why they were fighting the government, what really transpired between them and the government, and why the government referred to them as militant. Meanwhile, they were protecting the environment and at the same time protecting the life of the people. They are more concerned about the environment and not about what they will gain individually. But the government portrayed in a sense that the people were just exploiters, trying to gain from the government, trying to gain from others, especially in a criminal way. So the novel explores the bargaining or the game between government and at the same time very concerned about the plight of the ordinary people. The two journalists, Rufus and Zach, focuses on the plight of the ordinary people in the community, in the Niger Delta area. So in the novel also, the author uses the journalist's narration to definitely tell the story, though through the eyes of the journalist, how the novel, how the people in the Niger Delta have been suffering as a result of oil exploration in their community. And it is very unfortunate that the people who the oil is found or discovered in their land are suffering more than the others who are not even have any stakehold in it, as apart from being that all the people are of the same country, Nigeria. So the two journalists, Zach and Rufus, explore and began to pick more interest on the plight of the people and also to find out the truth about the kidnapping of the woman called Isabel Flood. Isabel Flood was kidnapped by the help of her driver called Solomon. And why did Solomon even facilitated the kidnapping of Isabel Flood? Because the husband of Isabel, called James Flood, who is a petroleum engineer, a British petroleum engineer, impregnated the fiancée of Solomon. and the fiancé of Solomon is called Coco. And that also makes it more interesting that there is a clash of interest in the novel. Two sides. Why Solomon was trying to revenge, Solomon and Isabel were trying to revenge against the actions of James Flood. Also, we saw in the novel that the two journalists were also more interested in uncovering the truth in the crisis in the Niger Delta region of Nigeria. So on their journey, the narrator, which is Rufus, explore and reveal to the readers how they met dead birds on the ground, dead animals, dead fish, even trees that are still alive, but the roots are already getting rotten because of the oil spillage and because everywhere is polluted. Like in the village of Irikefe, many people deserted the village because they couldn't cope with life there. The oil spillage has destroyed the land. The land cannot yield crop, and most of them are farmers and fishermen. So most of them do not have the white collar job, and even those few that were employed, they were employed without any job description, just giving money to them so that they will not be bombing or exploding the oil pipelines. And in the novel also, we realize that the kidnapped woman, which is the British woman, Isabel Flood, was not actually kidnapped in the sense of kidnapping. For instance, somebody will be kidnapped without her consent and then asked to pay ransom, to pay money. But in the case of Isabel Flood, she consented to the kidnapping because she also want to revenge against her husband, James Flood, which she deems as unfaithful in their marriage by impregnating the fiancé of her driver, which is Coco. So she was more concerned about revenging the actions of the husband. Let the husband pay for it, especially with a huge sum of money. And also in the journey, Rufus and Zach encounter a lot of people. They encounter government officials, they encounter the military, they encounter the militant also. And the militant also began to reveal to them how they suffered in the hand of the government and how government has been haunting them, and they also fighting back to recover their land and also to make the land habitable for people. But actually, can we say that okay, their plan was actually to recover the land as they claim? Though in the novel it is portrayed they want to make the land habitable and also draw the attention of government to the plight of their people. But in the modern Nigeria, I'm talking as a Nigerian, which is currently in Nigeria in 2022, the militancy in the Niger Delta is not only for the interest of the public. Some militants are more concerned about their own selfish, personal, individual interest, where they will threaten the government about blowing pipelines, and then the government will send probably errands to go and give them money. And then when they pay them, they pocketed the money. They not use the money to salvage the community. And the government also did not give them the money with the intention that they should develop the community. They are giving them the money to keep quiet, to get their own part of the national cake, and then keep silent, so that the masses will continue to suffer. So that was the situation in the Niger Delta at the time when the novel was published, and even up to the novel was published in 2010, and even up to today, 2022, the crisis in Niger Delta, Nigeria, is still evolving. In fact, it's getting worse. Though recently, some of the militants were employed by the government. Most of the top militants were employed by the government, and now some of them are working for government. So the blowing of pipeline are not much frequent like before. And in the novel, we realize through the narrator, which is Rufus, and also through the people that accompany Rufus and Zach, they the elderly man that accompanied them, which is Tanima, and the son of the elderly man, Michael, also referred to them how they even bury their dead all the time as a result of the crisis. And now we saw a lot of insincerity between the government and the militant, the game between the government and the militant, and also the game between Isabel Flood and the husband, James Flood. And even the game between Solomon, the driver of Isabel Flood, and then James Flood. Everybody is trying to get back at another in the novel. For instance, Isabel was trying to get back at the husband, and at the same time, the driver of Isabel, James, was trying to, the driver of Isabel, Solomon, was trying to get back at the husband of Isabel Flood, which is James Flood. He's a petroleum engineer and can be able to pay a lot of money as ransom to the militants who hold the woman hostage. And also, we discover in the novel that the challenges, especially for the protagonist, which is Rufus, is not only about the degradation of environment, but also there are other personal challenges that the character encountered. For instance, the sister of the protagonist, which is Boma, the sister is called Boma. The Boma had, there was oil fire, there was accident, oil caught fire, and then it disfigures her face. And that also worries the protagonist Rufus, because the face of the sister is completely disfigured. And as a result of that, and other conflict between the Boma and the husband of Boma, which is John Boma, the husband of Boma, which is John, sorry, it's not John Boma, it's John, which is John, also contributed to a lot of things that happened between them, and then divorce happened. So the husband, John, divorced Boma in the novel also, and that also worries Rufus, because Rufus felt that he did not stand enough for the sister when the sister was going through a lot of travails and problems. And also in the novel, we discover that the relationship between Isabel and the husband, James, is not also cordial, in a way that each one is attempting to betray the other. And as a result of that, that was what led to the issue of kidnapping. So the novel ended with the issue of the journalist getting the real fact, or getting the story to publish in the Daily Star. Note that Rufus is working for Daily Star. He's a reporter for Daily Star newspaper. And the owner of the Daily Star newspaper is Becker John. I think that should be the name. Becker John. Yes. He's working for, yes, it's Becker Johnson, rather. Becker Johnson is the name of the owner of the daily newspaper. And we discovered that both of them were more concerned about bringing stories that will make the newspaper sell, and also bringing out the truth for the public, especially the truth that the public did not know before. Why everybody called them militant, those who are fighting for the interests of the Niger Delta militant, we also discovered that some of them were genuine in their struggle against the government exploitation, and also the exploitation of the oil companies, resident and exploring areas in the Niger Delta. So in our subsequent lesson, we are going to be discussing in detail the characters and the role each character play, characterization. And also we'll be discussing the themes in the novel and the central ideas in every chapter. Thank you. Now have a blessed day. Have a good holiday. Okay.